Hello there, this is Rom coming back at you with yet another car video. Yeah, real world attraction blows away online dating. And I was motivated to talk about that today for several reasons. I ain't gonna get into the reasons, y'all don't need that. But one thing, there's always this argument about online dating. And, a lot of guys think, yeah, that's the way to go. Bullshit. I mean, yeah, you can do it, but and supplement to what you're doing. And with real world attraction. But if you had to compare the two, real world attraction is a whole lot better. And let me explain that. Let me explain why I say that. First of all, let's look at online dating. First of all, it's mostly men anyway. It's mostly men. It's a sausage fest for the women. It's mostly men on there. Women can get who they want. Now, who they going to get? Of course, they're going to go for the best looking ones. But here's something with online dating. That's all they got to work with. How good someone looks. When you swiping, you only got a few seconds. Now, men, we might just say, "Oh yeah, she fine, swipe, fine, swipe." Women ain't just they swiping too. But all they got is maybe look at the guy. All right, if he look good, they might read something. But unless he's just a magician with words, unless he has a written mouthpiece. Yeah, hey, that's a new term, written mouthpiece. And some dudes might have that. But let's be real, most dudes ain't going to have that. The guys who are going to win with online dating, they, A, look good. 2, have a very good photographer to get some really great pictures. And yeah, you got some guys who going to win with it, but it's going to be the guys who just got the better looking pictures. Let's be real. Most guys going to lose with it. In fact, there was one gentleman, I can't remember this dude's name, but he had written a few books and been on mainstream TV a few times. He said even when they go out, the man and woman, they might go for a coffee date. That still don't guarantee anything. Now, what's real world attraction? You got a little bit more. Like, I'll never forget this young lady that I was going out with for a little while. I even did a video with her. We're not going out anymore, so I deleted the video. Actually, I think there's a video or two of us on my membership part, on my members only part, going back, I'd say, to 2020. It might be me and her on there. But whatever the case, she had been watching me online for a while, but then we actually met up in person right before the first self-improvement summit. Shout out C Boogie. Right before that. And she said then, she told me, she said, wait a minute, I was taller and more muscular. Now, if she was, then she thought I was. I was taller and more muscular, so she was like, I can't call him Uncle Rom anymore. And that's the thing. See, the only thing about online dating, all you're doing is presenting a picture, your best picture. And it still don't mean anything. It just means the woman going to meet you. Now, yeah, there's some guys who can win with it, but that's only a small percentage of men who win with it. You got other guys thinking they're going to win with it, and they not. They trying hard. They get catfished. And let's just be real with something. You ain't going to get, like, supermodel of the world on there. Or even when you try, like, some of these social media sites, like an IG or even a Facebook. Well, an IG for the younger people. IG or TikTok. Let's say you get a real fine woman. You see it. You slide in her DMs. Let's be real. If she's sexy, how many other guys have slid in her DM? Once again, it'll come down to if she respond at all, she's only going to do get with the guys who got the best pictures, who got the best IG. And you got some people who coach with that, but still, that's still limited. That's still limited. That limited, whatever words you want to use. You can't see everything that you can see. Now, what's real world attraction? Real world attraction, you can bring more to it. First of all, with real world attraction, the woman can see you for a while. Because remember what I said about cold approaches. Cold approaches. You think you cold approaching, but the woman has seen you for a while. I gave examples of how a woman might see a man, even if it's on the street, she saw him from blocks away. Or she might see him passing her place of work or someplace she is, and she figured it out, and so she clocked that guy. And she'll pretend like that might be the first time he's seeing her, but not the first time she's seeing him. But see, she's seeing more. One, she see his actual height. People talking about the height and his body build in the real world. It looks different from what it's going to look like online. I'll use myself again, and not even just with that one young lady. Not even just with that one young lady. Well, actually, there was another young lady, and she was pretty tall. She was like 5'8", and I was still taller than her when we met in the real world. Still taller than her. So it was, but even not even just with the ladies. I wish I had a dime every time people have met me in the real world. Say, you taller than you look. You taller. I've heard that several times. People meet me in the real world, which means you can't always go by what you even see on these videos. And then in the real world, what else comes into your attraction that you can't do online? At least as far as I know. Maybe they got some websites or some online dating services where you can actually talk. But here's a couple things. One, in most cases, in the real world, a woman can actually hear your voice tone. Shout out Alan Roger Curry, may he rest in peace. He talked about that. That was a big thing with him. Your tone of voice when you're talking. A woman can get turned on by that. Shout out Kevin Samuels. Before he got big, his main thing was talking about colognes and scents and all of that. Women go crazy over that. A woman might smell you. In fact, I've mentioned several times something said by Issa Rae. She said a good cologne can make a woman rethink a man's attractiveness. But that's in the real world. She can't tell, she can't smell anything if she's just seeing a picture. A woman can't smell anything. She can't hear his voice. And I talked a few weeks ago. Well, actually, this was on my Patreon. I gotta remember where I put stuff, but I talked about some on my Patreon. I talked about like a woman can go crazy up a woman's walk. She can't really see that in a picture. She can't really see that in a picture. You can be online and give a woman, you can add 10 pictures on there, however much. I don't really get much into the online thing. But she can't see how you walk. She can't see your posture. In fact, I had mentioned a woman had, beautiful young lady had done, I call them all young regardless of age. A beautiful young lady had did a video, a webinar for us. And one of the main things for a bunch of guys, one of my private groups, and one of the main things she talked about was a man's posture. Now, yeah, you can sit up and everything in a picture, but they really paying attention to how you walk, your body stance. In fact, that young lady said if a man's feet were pointed out a certain way, she wouldn't mess with him. So she's looking at all of that. See, women can look at that. Think about what they can see in the real world. They can hear your voice. They can smell you. They can be in your presence. They can even feel a vibe from you. I remember this woman I was dealing with a few years ago. And this was a woman I hooked up with. And we were we actually worked together. She said she knew I was there. I didn't have to say anything. She always knew I was there without even turning around. She could feel me. Like, women can actually feel a man. So it's like, wait a minute, they can hear you in the real world. They can smell you. They can feel you. They can see you. They can check you out for a while. Because that's some game. Let me get into that real quick. A lot of guys don't understand that. Like I said about the whole, you think you cold approaching a woman, but that woman been seeing you for weeks. I've had women actually tell me that, say, oh no, I've been checking you out. They can see you for weeks. And then, what did I talk about a few weeks ago? Sometimes a man can actually grow on a woman. He might not be what she wants at first, like initially. But remember, I did a video and I said women like got open types, which means, yes, they have an ideal type, they have a fantasy type, but then another type of guy, she can just see him all the time and he don't say a word, and all of a sudden she checking him out, and all of a sudden it's like, woo. It might just be one day it's a switch on. He might have on that cologne. He might wear that different clothes. He might let the barber bless him. She see him in a different light. And that actually happens a lot. Because, yeah, you do have some occasions where a man and a woman will hook up right away, but let's just be real. Most men and women, they'll hook up after getting to know each other a while. I've talked with other dudes about that. Then they'll say, yeah, they tapping that woman, but that woman knew him for a while. Indeed, they might have like just been acquaintances or even friends first. But then all of a sudden there's that moment that happens and it's boom. In fact, I remember one of the first thing I wrote specifically for relationships, this was back in the 90s. It was for the ladies finding a good man. And one of the things I told the ladies was get to know a man. You had all these women always complaining about it. I say, why don't you get to know him, find out? You just never know. You just never know. And that's a common thing. A woman might not feel anything for a man initially, but she get to know him, all of a sudden he started looking better. He might not have that original look. Now, some guys don't understand that, but they don't interact with women. You start interacting with women, and you see all of that. Wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, let me get that straight. But that's the thing, though. See, in the real world, you bring in so much more into it. Online, all you got, unless you have a word mouthpiece, which, let's just be real, most men don't have a mouthpiece. So a word mouthpiece, just having the right words to write, that's going to be rare. But see, when you around that woman, you bringing in so much. She's listening. See, you hitting her senses. She's listening in her ears to what you're saying. You hitting her nose because you just smelling good. She of course sees what you look like, but then she can see you at different angles. And then even remember this week I talked about the importance of personality. When women looking at a man's face, it's not just his bone structure, but they looking at trying to read his personality, what type of personality he has, how he's smiling, how he's grimacing, his facial expressions. They can look in his eyes. Let me talk about that for a second, because that's one thing I can actually say. There's been maybe a few times I can count a woman had a mild orgasm just looking me in the eye. Because when I look at somebody talking, I look them in the eye. So when I was looking at, there's been a few times, like I remember the first time it happened, a woman just looked at me, she's like, and just look, because I was just looking her in the eye. But they can't really do that with a picture. They might not be able to see it. Because the pictures, first of all, if they like a certain, when they looking in a man's eyes, well, yeah, they looking at his eye color, but how intense it is. how long he holds the gaze, how he's looking at them. Like, I've had a lot of women tell me personally, it looked like I'm looking through them. They felt a certain way. You can actually do that, but see, you can't really do that with a picture. You really can't. There might be some people or some men who have a picture where they can get away with that. They can try to do that. But for the most part, a man, he can't really present it. See, when you're in the real world, you bring in more things into play. Well, if you online, it really is just you got a good picture. And let's be real, even when you're dealing with that, when you're dealing with pictures, you got so many filters. Let's not pretend men out here aren't using filters too, aren't using whatever, or taking pictures at a good angle to make them look good. But see, when you're in the real world, they can see you. Like I said, they can see you. They can see how you walk. They can see your posture. They can see all of that. They can listen to your voice tone. They can listen to your voice tone. That means a lot. Because I remember this happened. A woman hit me to that because a woman actually heard my voice tone and she was ready to meet me. This back before we had smartphones. And I forgot why I was calling her, but I think it was to talk to somebody else. I think it was when I was on one of my 1,000 jobs working as an investigator for defense attorneys. And I talked to this woman, and she liked my voice so much. It was like something with her sister was a witness or something. But she heard my voice, and she wanted to meet me. But that's just on voice. That's just on voice. And colognes and how you smell is a cheat code. If they don't like how you smell, give it up. Shoot, having fresh breath. They can smell your breath. And shoot, and then if they're in a position where they can see you all the time, they can see you dressed in different ways. This is so much. See, the real world is best. Now, like I said, if you use online dating and that's a supplement, yeah, okay, that's cool. But see, it's too many men out here. They think that's it, and then when they're failing at it, they like it's over. Well, yeah, like I said, if you're gonna win at online dating, you better have a very good photographer, be very good at taking pictures. Indeed, you can get somebody who's not good at taking pictures, but they get women like crazy in the real world because they can bring all this other stuff in. Shoot, even when you dealing with a woman directly, you could say what your height is in a picture, like that height thing. You can say what your height is. You can say you so much, but height is different when you say it from when a woman's in public. If she got to tilt her head a little bit, you taller than her. In fact, I've had some women, they've said publicly, they said to me, no matter what my height is, I always give the impression of being taller. Like I knew a woman, she was 5'10" and she thought I was 6'2". And I've said publicly several times, I'm not over 6 feet. But it was the impression I gave her in person meeting her. I want y'all to think about that. You have more. Now, I'm going to say once again, there's nothing wrong with using online dating as a supplement, but you got to be able to do something in the real world. That's when you got to interact. And don't forget, even the conversation. Like say a woman meets a man online, she like his pictures, but then when they talk, he can't talk about anything. He don't have a good conversation. What do I always say? A woman will say he was alright till he opened his mouth. A woman will say that. So even your conversation, what you talking about. See, when you're in the real world, you can bring all these things into play. You can bring all these things into play. You're not stuck with doing this, that, or a third. You're not stuck with just having a picture and some sharp words, maybe. You're not stuck with that. There's so much you can bring in that can attract that woman. And then, shoot, even environment. And I'll get more into that environment thing in a couple of days, either tomorrow or Friday. It depends. Got some other stuff to do. Like I said, I already always got other things I have to do. Like I said, getting a bit of a sore throat. But those things are very important. Very, very important. You want to think about those things. You want to think about, all right, what can you bring in the real world? In fact, your thoughts need to be, can I get a woman's attention in the real world? Now, if you can't, that's what you need to work on. Taking some pictures or getting mad because enough women ain't swiping right on you, that's nothing. Like I said, first of all, it's mostly men. You check out these different online dating sites, it's still mostly men. Or even if you try to slide in some woman's DMs, if she find you like one of 500, and that might be a low number depending on the woman. That might be a low number depending on the woman. But if you're in the real world, if you just out and about, you got more things. You got more things. You know, you might be able to go to some grocery store and the women there checking you out. Or as an old school player had said to me, he said, shoot, a yoga studio is a target rich environment. A yoga studio, there's a lot of women, they checking you out. Because even he had said that about a yoga studio. What he had said about a yoga studio is, you don't have to do anything, just sit there and chill. The women will come to you. Wait a minute. Went too far back. Yeah, Mike just got this camera on here. So, I mean, you gotta look at all of that. Like I said, the real world is actually better. Let's look at it like this. You got more things to bring to the table. You got more tools in the real world. Let me just go over them real quick. She can hear your voice. You can look her in the eye. She can see whatever your physicality is up close. She can smell you. She can feel you. And depending on where she at, she might see you dressed a certain way. Even if she ain't find you attractive at first, you get that nice haircut, let the barber bless you. That's something different right there. You just got more things. You got more things to use. So it's always going to be better than just online dating. It's going to be greater. All right? I want y'all to think about that. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Go ahead, get some vittles or food. I got to start using food. A lot of y'all ain't watched the Beverly Hillbillies. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all. Peace.